Hello and welcome to this recap of today's live coding session for CodeBuddies.org. CodeBuddies is a global community of amazing people who help each other become better at software development through conversations on Slack and peer-to-peer organized study groups and virtual hangouts. We've been continuing on the Western Friend website, particularly looking at the Deep Archive feature. Deep Archive issues are published on the Internet Archive and date back to 1929. You can fully browse all of these archive issues thanks to the gracious support of the Internet Archive, which is a nonprofit organization. If you see here, there are 600 items in the Western Friend collection on the Internet Archive. All of these were physical paper PDF or paper copies of a newsletter that has been distributed for almost a century. Well, not quite, but in any case, I think it was around 80 years before it transitioned over to Western Friend. I don't know, I'd have to get a little bit more clarity on the history of the organizations. But you can see many issues, about 10 a year in later years. So quite a lot of content. The Internet Archive, not only are they hosting it, but they took all of the materials in physical form. Mary Klein, the editor, took these boxes there to their office in San Francisco, and they scanned them all, they digitized them all, and ran optical character recognition on all the texts, so you can search inside an issue, and across issues I think too, and it will tell you on what page that result appeared, and it will highlight it for you. So this one's kind of running a little bit slow. I was hoping to demo it, but that's okay. Oh, there we go. So we can see we've mentioned peace on several places on this page, and you can see it here in different typefaces and different sizes. And somehow it's getting bigger blocks of content that do also mention peace. So it's a very cool service they're providing, and what we're trying to do is just integrate it with the Western Friend website, so it's easy for Western Friend readers to find these old contents. Now the feature we're working on today is pagination in a grid view for these items. So you can see here, there's one item being displayed in a Bootstrap card. I've only added 2 items to the dummy site just to test things out, and I've got pagination going on here. Previous item, next button, and the count of pages. If I change that pagination back to 9, which we have a 3x4 grid. You can see the items show side by side, a little bit of spacing, irregular height, which may or may not be an issue. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I don't like wrestling with things like that too much. If possible, I just let it be the way it is, because I guess these will be grouped over time. I think most of the newer issues will be a standard page format, and this older page format, I'm not sure why that paper was chosen, why that aspect ratio was chosen. In any case, that's where we stand. Okay, let's try to keep this brief and take a look at the pagination code and the template, which is just Bootstrap markups and not too much. Right here, I'm going to maximize the code view, hide the browser, and basically what we do here is we have this archive index page that I've already previewed, but it has an intro text that lets you introduce the user to the purpose of this page, and the editor can edit that intro text to a rich text editor with bold and highlight and stuff like that. So that's important that the editor has that control and we don't hard code those messages into the template. Everything else I've previewed in other code review sessions. Today we worked on the page context, and many web development frameworks, including Django and Wagtail, before rendering a template, which is just an HTML string usually with like special syntax for where you want to put data, you need to prepare the context, the data that you're going to render into that template. In our case, we're rendering archive issues, so what we needed to do is just get all the archive issues firstly. Now, we're on the archive index page, and it inherits from the Wagtail page model. Wagtail page class is a hierarchical model, meaning you have children nested underneath it, or you could have siblings and ancestors above it. But everything has to be situated in a tree with one root node or page. So this archive deep archive index page is no different, and the archive issues are just children of the page. You can see this deep archive index page can be located within underneath the magazine index page, because it's part of the magazine in a way, and it can have children or subpages of archive issues. That's all. So by defining these two properties, then we have a strict data model so that things don't just get placed on the website willy-nilly, and then we can do nice code like get children to grab all the archive issues. It's a pretty cool way of doing it. So we have an explanatory variable here saying that we want 9 items per page. The reason for this being Bootstrap is a 12-column grid, and these card items are each 4 columns wide. And I wanted to wrap naturally, not have one odd item. So just doing some kind of basic arithmetic there. And actually, then what we do is we instantiate the paginator, which takes this query set that we've gotten through get children and a parameter of how many items it should display per page. Then we check if in the request that's coming into this, because this get context is essentially rendering a view. It's going to take request in, handle that request, grab a template, and this is just preparing the context data. It's not actually rendering the template, so I take that back. But this request could have a page argument, and meaning, we're on page 3 of the deep archive index. So those paginator buttons work. They allow us to go forward and backwards through all the pages. So we're going to check for that. And we're just going to see if we can, from the paginator, get that page. If it doesn't, if firstly somebody just passes in a page argument with anything like that's not an integer, we're just going to send them the first page. So, but if somehow a user sends in a page like 9,000 and we only have 100 pages of these items, we're just going to send them the last page of that. This could easily also send them the first page. I should note that I got the inspiration from this code, at least probably the overarching approach from Simple is Better Than Complex, a blog about Python and Django web development. The final thing we do is we take these paginated memorials that we're able to fetch in these cases, and we add it to the page context. So here in the first line, we just get the natural page context from the Wagtail page class given a request, and then we're going to modify it. It's a dictionary. We're going to add the key and put those paginated memorials right there and return that. And that gets returned into the view, rendered to the template, and everything will look hunky-dory, to use an antiquated phrase. So again, yeah, we only have 1 page of pagination here, but if I switch this back to 1 and wait for the refresh, now we have working pagination. You can see here, if I do page 2000, it's just going to send me the second page of results. Here, if I go back, or page 1000, it's just going to send me the last page of results. If I say page as the or something, it'll just take me to the first page. So not too bad. It leaves the property of the URL. Okay, well, this has been a recap of today's live coding session on codebuddies.org. If you are interested in learning or teaching, helping other people learn, at least, not a formal teaching, but just kind of mentoring or working together on projects, please do stop by the codebuddies.org community. We're quite active. There's a lot of different study groups, everything from machine learning, Java programming, Android development. We've got Python and Django, which I'm mainly active in, Rust. There's a lot of good stuff here. Game development, PHP, Ruby, test-driven design, AWS, you name it. And these groups are quite large, so there's something here for pretty much everybody. The codebuddies.org website is also open source and under being rewritten from the ground up. So this is an opportunity to also get involved with an open source project at the very early stages. All right, well, thanks for your time. Have a great day.